Hi guys, okay, so what ended up being an unintentional third part to this video, I haven't even reached the second bit of information. I'm still busy placing my parts. I just need you to bear in mind that this circuit, yours will probably look way neater, it's probably and a lot different because the schematic is wrong. But I find that it can actually be very useful because now I can teach you something that I get asked a lot about, which is bias. Also bear in mind that I'm going at a certain pace because there are other people who haven't learned PCB at all, and I want them to get as much information as possible and at a nice speed. If you're an advanced learner, just fast forward. Okay, I'm going to pause the video again in a few seconds. There's just something else I wanted to point out was when you're busy placing and moving your components around like this, once you've done your initial placement, you're going to then eventually just start messing around with components and get them as neat as possible, have as little crossing as possible, like that. You might find out something like, oh, Eureka, I don't know, this could go here, there, and put much nicer. Sometimes you'll find out that, no, you just hit the brick wall. But you're going to do your best, right? So, one thing I wanted to point out was, if you press Q, draft mode is very useful here. Now you can see where all your components go in and out, where you might want some crossings that you didn't see, especially if you didn't have net colors, like the grounds, the negative VCCs, and the positive VCCs. I can move around, see like, okay, maybe I can move this away, that has the same point, etc, etc, if you have those kind of eyes. But otherwise, just kind of shoot in the dark, like that. See, maybe a bit better there. Fine if there's crossing, where it is, if there was no way around that, then circuit boards would never be made in the first place. Okay, I'm going to fast forward this, see in a bit. Okay, so I've gotten a bit further, viewing things a bit better. I'm starting draft mode, let me press Q. I just realized there's something else I wanted to tell you guys. Just have a look at what I do with the board. Why this is actually a good example is I'm sticking to a certain few rules, which is my outputs and my inputs are staying near the outside of the board. It doesn't matter how far away they are, because I will fix that in a moment. Once we draw the rest of our board outline, then we will make that a bit neater. But I want you to notice that I stuck to the corner of the board so that I knew I was working within certain parameters, limit things to, if you work from a corner and you work it out, you know where you are. And the other thing is, in terms of placing components next to each other, if you place something really on top of the other one, if you think of that logically, you wouldn't be able to actually solve the two components close together like that. Especially if you think of our probes for the power supply that we made in the first semester, or the second, yeah. What I think the general distance was about also 10 mils, 0.5 to 1 millimeter away. But no, safe distance is about that. The thing was, if you move it up onto there, still set to 0.25, still set to 0.25 millimeters. You could hold that, put it right up against there, and 1, 2. That is the absolute minimum. But let's give it some breathing space. Why not? Okay, so that's all I wanted to show you for now, and let's tighten this up a bit more. Okay, I've made this as neat as I can now. This is probably just gonna have to do. There's a lot of crossing over the wires, but that's fine for what I want to demonstrate for you guys. Okay, let's go ahead and move that around a bit, make that straight. Okay, like I said, you do what you can to make it neat, as neat as possible, and then we'll start our routing. But before we start our routing, I want to make sure that our routing is when we are placing our copper tracks now to connect all the components together, the way you see them on your average circuit board. So that's nice and straight. See, no, this one's out. Let's see, if it is out, you just select it and you hold down the mouse button, moving it around, and then you use your cursor keys to make it straight. Now we can see it straight because, as you can see, this line on top here, take a line like that, like that, space that a bit. Okay, jumped a bit. They should be fine. Okay, So as I said before, maintain that distance, the minimum distance between components, and you should be fine. Okay, it's a bit close. Just move that there like that. Like that. Okay, they're not too close. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to complete our board. And press Q, get out of draft mode. It looks sort of pretty. Okay. Now remember, I can't touch this board because I did that with my selection mask. So I'm going back here, and the board is made out of line, which I said earlier. Single selection, change your line, put the back on, and now I can select it again. Now I first want to get rid of this little block there, delete that, and zoom out. Let's click on that line. I think I want to change this. Notice you can do that, maybe just drop the length a bit, but this is very inaccurate. As you can see now, it's going to be very skewed and I'm going to fight with it. So seeing as I already have everything in the shape I wanted, remember you can make this any shape you want, but ultimately in life we aim to be efficient. I think that can come just a third closer to everything else, just a little bit. Okay, yes, we aim to be efficient, and that way we build it as compact as possible but neat. That's all that now. I'm going to go ahead, I want to redraw this line. Let's say, select that, delete, go to place line, place the first point. Now remember, I see it's changed modes. Let's press O, change my orthogonal mode, press O again, yes, that's the one I want. Place there, press delete to go back one step. If you're not happy with a shape like that, delete, or sorry, backspace. Backspace. Let's make it like that. Oh, there's a nice trick. Let's right click, finish. Let's select our board. Oops, sorry. Escape, press Ctrl, edit, undo. There's a shortcut for undo, which is Ctrl Z. Hold on, Ctrl press Z. There you go. Works in just about all Windows programs. Okay. So let's move that in there nicely. That line's still not long enough. Okay, I'm just going to redo that quickly. Let's do that. Let's start about here. Do that looks right. First point. If you want, you can use your cursor to go all the way, but let's not do that. That looks about right. Okay. As you can see, I'll make it kind of close to the edges, because remember I said output must be at least 0.5 mils away from the board. That's close enough. We're going to adjust that now. Okay, let's place that point. Let's place this point just a bit further, like that. Move that over. Next, make sure that's straight. I'm happy with that. And all we need is 2 points. So right click to finish that. Deselect the tool by pressing S or clicking it here. I'm going to press S. And now we highlight that and we say copy, edit, copy, or if you know the shortcuts, like you press Ctrl C and you press Ctrl V to paste it again. Notice now I'm in paste mode and it wants to paste it. So the moment I click, it pastes it. I'm still holding it. I can let go if I want to, but what I want to do is I want to do this. Rotate that twice and drop it in like that. Smooth it. Okay. More or less there. There, I'm happy with that. So now that is our board outline. Make sure it's straight. Yeah, that's good. You can zoom in if you really want. So, okay. Do that. Make sure that's nice and snug. I'm okay with this. What is the next step? Okay, I think the next step is now going to actually placing our routing on the board. However, before we do that, we don't want to just go straight ahead and start routing. We want to adjust some settings first. So I'll zoom up, leave that in screen like that, and then let's go to options, bias. Now, for those of you who don't actually know, bias is our bias are these little holes that we make in a board that in our instance, zoom in here. if we have crossing, say I'm busy with this line, I want this line to go past here, but I already have this track first. You can put whichever track first, it's up to you. Now, if I want to cross that, I can't cross it, I'm going to have a short circuit. So what we can do is we make a wire. A wire goes through, a wire will make a little hole in the board. It goes through the board, and then we bring it back up on the other side. In other words, we're going underneath this like a subway system, underneath this tracking, and we'll be back on the side and we can connect it, and we'll still have our connection. I'll show you all of that. I just wanted to explain that quickly. So we are going to set our wires, going to options, wire style. Okay, now there's a whole lot of doody bobs here. What we want to do is we want to go to default and we say copy. Now we choose our wire style. There is a, you can use your own naming, but as you can see there's a sort of naming convention that goes on here. This is the one we were taught. I'm going to explain that this was wire. Because we're placing a wire, we call it wire. Our wire name is called, let's give it capital letters, wire, right? And then because we have x and y coordinates, we say x, lowercase, x, y. Otherwise you know that your wire is, yeah, it's coordinates, the point, x and y. And then we say we want it to be 0.8, so we say just 0.8, and then underscore, so I think it's d for diameter, and 0.4. Sorry, that's fine. Okay, then we say, oops, I was supposed to be making a copy of default, not any of those, making a copy of default, and we set it to wire. Let's see, oh, wait, there was something I skipped. It was wire, as you can see here, hold on, EL. EL stands for elliptical. Elliptical is round. If you want to make it rectangle, it's RE. If you wanted a square little hole that's going to go through the board. And then I think there's oval, which is OV, like an egg, and you want to make egg hole. But we are doing elliptical, which is round hole. So we're going wire, which is that little hole we're making. Elliptical, XY coordinates is 0.8, or I think that's your width, and your I'll show you that now. And then your diameter is 0.4. We say OK, copy of default, remember that, or anyone, and now we've added it to this list. So sure, we've added it to this list, and it's a name, but it hasn't actually done anything. I have it twice here because I already made it. So let's select it, and we go to modify, simple. We are going to change the width to 0.8, which is, I've already got that here, and then the height to 0.8. Why 0.8? Because as you can see, our wire name was 0.8. So x and y is both 0.8. If it was x 0.8 and y 0.5, then it would be first x 0.8 and y 0.5. But for now, that's what that is, 0.8, 0.5. Ellipse, as we said, EL, there's oval, rectangle, and rounded rectangle. We want ellipse. We go ahead, we set that like that, and I think we wanted this to be, I think that was through, and we wanted this to be thermal, if I'm not mistaken. Say OK, and we double, notice the little asterisk there. Once this means that this is the default bias that's going to be set or being used. So I already have it there. Sometimes it's not actually set. Then you just, seeing as it's the same one, let's double click on it, and will automatically become the default bias or via. Okay, then we go to our options, and we set our current life, like I was explaining earlier. So I already explained this earlier. You can add your own widths here, but generally we stick to certain ratio. You can use the same or similar ratio that we did with our grids, but okay, I think there's if you think of in terms of electronic circuits, because for instance we're using a 1 amp regulator, we then use a 1 millimeter track as far as possible, because you know, you don't want to exceed certain ratings, or yeah, things operate a certain way. I can't really explain it now, I'm no expert. Okay, in any case, we say OK. we have now set, we've added some line widths. So those will all pop up here, current widths. For routing, we're going to use a advanced routing tool, which is, I think we can find it in, let's go tools, nope, root, I think it was advanced, but I'm going to show you the shortcut that's here in the toolbar. Okay, let's not bother with that then. The shortcut to place routing is this tool over here, root advanced. Okay, so we say, I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration before I change some other settings. Now we are doing our routing. On our routing, notice automatically with, I think this automatically changed unless I change myself. No, hang on, let's do something. I'm going to set that to board. Aha. Notice I try and set it to board, I've just learned this now. But because I'm set to the advanced routing tool, it knows that we don't want this to be, on the board layer. This has to be only, routing can only be done on the top and the bottom layer. So if I deselect that, I can then change back to my board. But notice, if I select the tool, keep your eyes on that. I can select the tool and change to top. So our routing can only be done on the top and the bottom of the board. So let's go ahead and try some. This I've now started. As you can see, it's very, very, very thin. Why is that so thin? This is our routing or our tracks. Go ahead and place that. You see that it's highlighted here to indicate this is the next point it wants to connect it. That's where it's supposed to go. You can collect that if you want. But why was that so thin? That is because this was set to 0.3 millimeters. So I think in general, as I said before, because we're dealing with regulators that want at least 1 millimeter track, we could stick to that, change it there manually. Let's say Control Z to get rid of that track, or you could just paste track over it, track again, and now look, it's much thicker. But now here's a little trick. If you press W on the keyboard, it'll increase the thickness. See here, I'm going to zoom in a bit. If you press W, increases the thickness, goes through all of the thicknesses that I've set here. Watch that. See 0.8, one more, 1.25, and then it goes back to the beginning. So if you press W, it increases the thickness. If you hold down Shift and you press W, you go backwards. Very useful, instead of having to change manually and all that. Okay, so let's go ahead and place this with one more. Increase that one more. Yes, also when we're placing, there's a reason why we're placing at 45-degree angles and not at 90-degree angles. Because there's a lot of science behind it. The basic reason is that the thing was something about if you have a 90-degree angle, what's going to happen is, okay, let me set that. Let's do a 90-degree angle. That, and that's connected. At this 90-degree angle, there's different reasons. Mainly one was proved to be wrong. That no solder will be able to get in the corner that blah blah blah. All you need to know is that we want to make 45-degree angles at all times. So try not to have any straight lines as you see. Let's try and do that. No. If you can prevent it, try to prevent any 90-degree angles. Like this. That. Okay, right. This thing. See, that's a 90-degree angle. We kind of want to prevent that as far as possible. You don't have to have a lot of finesse about it, but just try to make your circuit neat. Like that wasn't very neat. So let's try and place our routing again. Advanced routing tool, and start with a point, and there. Okay, that's one piece down. Let's try that one. There. Bang, done. You don't have to work from this so far away. Let's zoom in. However comfortable you are. Zoom around. That's the next piece. Like this. Also, if you find you can't really get the right angle, you're welcome to click to do that. Alright. Okay, short circuit. But if you find you can't really get the right angle, press tab, sorry, wrong button, tab, and then you'll start coming from the opposite end. In other words, if I was coming from, I was coming from here and I couldn't get the right angle, I then press tab, let's get rid of all of this. Yeah, I was coming from here and I can't get the right angle. Press tab and then you'll start coming from this pad instead of the other one. Maybe that looks a bit better, maybe you're more happy with that. Okay, anyway, in any case, that's a useful tool. Okay, so that's a little bit on routing, but now there are a few settings we want to adjust to make things a bit easier. So we go to options. Let me just show you something first. If I do this, notice that it's sliding along here, following that path, and okay, I'm going to place it where I want to place it. That is unethical. Let's go to options, configure, and we go to our advanced routing menu. What we want to do is we want to change this to, I think it's interactive plow, and change this, I think everything, let's say medium. Let's see, interactive plow will push obstacles interactively, because this will generally be set to something else. Let's make sure it's set there, and our routing angle, leave it on 45 degrees, not 90 degrees or any angle. Okay, everything else here I think is fine. What we also want to do is it here? Nope, give me a second. Ah yes, some people might not have this option selected. Allow pad entry necking. Make sure this option is selected. Okay. Okay, we're happy with everything else here, and we say okay. So now, funny that's not actually changing. Let's press escape. Okay, advanced plow. Do that again, and sorry, advanced route. Let's go around here. Maybe drop the thickness a bit. If you really want to. Okay, yeah, let's do that first. No, but that's actually going underneath that component. I wouldn't recommend that. It's probably something you're not supposed to do. Let's connect the easiest stuff up first. Let's do our grounds first off. Connect that there. No, that's actually ugly. So Control Z, root again. Do it until you're comfortable. Make it very nice, nice and thick into it. Also, as our lecturer said to us, is you're actually paying for the copper. You're paying for them because the board is first a solid piece of copper. Then they remove the copper just so that the tracks are sort of there. So you're paying for that. So you'll be generous with your copper like that if you really want to. But personally, I'd say it looks too thick. I would reduce that a bit. So let's drop that. Stick to about 0.8 to 1 mol. I think 1 mol's fine. Yeah, that's nice. Like that. Like that. I'm not actually happy with that. So I can be a bit of a perfectionist. There we are. Connect. As I said, best to start with the easiest stuff first. So you'll see also now that what I was talking about earlier, the lines crossing doesn't matter because we're going to get around it. That wasn't the actual tracks of your board. That's just to show that these components are connected to each other. Like that. Okay, second meter. Yeah, it's okay. Which one should we go for first? Let's go for gold. Go there. And there. No. Huh. See, what interactive plow is actually supposed to do is supposed to push the other routing that's already there aside. Just give me a second, let's see if I can fix that. Okay, well I don't know why, my PCB is giving me some sort of error. I can't actually do the interactive plow. But having that setting is very useful because sometimes you're going to find that you just need to maybe push one of your routings aside so you can get around it. But you'll notice, let's say I go to that end of the board, it's naturally going to find a way for me, but it might make a short circuit along the way. So let's space everything normally first. Fix that. Finish that up. No, I think I'll cross. I have a lot of crossing here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is a very useful function, which I was talking about earlier, is something called placing a via, which is the via is what we set up in that via style menu. What happens is you start routing and you get to a point. Say for instance you get here about comfortable. Now what you do is you hold down shift, the shift button, and then you click. Now you can see there I've made a little hole. You press Q for drop node. That's a little hole there. That hole I'm going to press 6 on my keyboard, and that'll change me to the bottom layer. You see that hole is on the bottom layer and on the top layer. I've not made a hole through the board where there's no tracking this side, and I'm going to make another hole that brings me back up to around about here. Oh, sorry. That needs to come to this point here. So I'm going to make another hole that brings me back up around here so I can connect to this point here. But the thing is you need to bear in mind is don't make a via on your pad. Always make a via away from your pad. Okay, there was a reason, I can't remember it at the time, but okay, off we go. Let's start the next one. So let's start routing again from this point. Now we hold out shift, make our via, and then we go to the bottom layer, because if I were to do my routing from here, it's pointless, you know. So now that I've made my two holes, I go to the bottom layer by pressing 6. This is where these shortcuts are useful, and I go and I connect my via over here. Now you notice I have my width very thick, maximum thickness, let's go like that. The moment I connect there, it kind of thin out and, you know, normalize. There we go. And that is how you place your via. Okay, and then you go back to top layer, press 5 on my keyboard. I think I might need another via to come through here because this is going underneath this component, and I don't think I really want to do that. You know, could be allowed, but I don't want to lie to you. So the best thing to do is probably make another through hole. I mean, and what's wrong with that? If not, why not? Hold down shift. So there's the outside of my capacitor, this white line. Hold down shift. That seems like a safe distance. Click. Go to the bottom layer. 6. Connect. And done. But I don't like that there. Okay, let's say Control Z. And go do that. Okay, you can go ahead and finish up your board now. I'm just going to finish this and I'll be back with you in a minute. Okay, so this is the bottom layer now. I've placed quite an amount of bottom vias here. As you can see, actually you'll notice that once I've started connecting the components to each other, that these lines disappear. That's one way that you know that you've actually completed and connected them properly. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and finish that up. Make a via there. I think I'll bring one back up here and then up there as well. So let's go ahead and do that. 5. Let's make another via back here to be safe. 6. Go to bottom layer, and I think that's neater. Go around like that, like that. 5. Okay, I think that's just about done. This is a very ugly circuit board. I personally wouldn't submit something like this, but yeah, I suppose it gets the job done. Let's just place one more. See, if we really wanted to, I could just skip everything, go all the way around. But what for? You know, let's make a long track where I can just make through hole and another through hole. Via, sorry. 6. Connect them on the bottom layer. Done. You can see everything is connected. Funny though, thing is, right at the end I've just realized I made a vital mistake. When we are routing, we change our grid to 0.05. That gives us much more leverage to work with. Let's check something quickly actually. Let's have a look at that. Oh no, it doesn't. I thought now my plowing would have worked. But anyway, yeah, we're supposed to work with 0.05. It gives us more leverage. See how much smoother that is. Like that. Instead of working for 0.25. Yeah, just remember to follow that rule. Okay, so that's that. Deselect tool. That's about done. So I think I'm sort of happy with this. Let's go on to the next step. The next step is placing our copper pore, or what you see as that your average circuit board is green. That is what we're going to place now. So let me just read my notes here. Okay, just a second. Also, the other thing was, I forgot to mention, the entire time my file name has still been saved as PCB CPUT template. So now my template is going to constantly have this sucker on it. So I actually want to save this properly as, save as, desktop, back to my folder that I had, homework, and PCB, that's where I wanted it to be. Change that to schematic 5. Schematic. Okay, now notice that is still there. I did say I was going to teach you how to get rid of that. Error, hold and emitters, not being attached to it, also no. This we emphasize on later, but for now, how to get rid of this, press OK, go to File, Export, and then go to Gerber. Okay, then this should pop up. Once this menu pops up, you go to drill symbols, you say automatic assign, close, close. That gets rid of that. Now if we go to file, save, gone. Won't ask us for that, and again. Okay, the next step, as I said, was to place the copper pore. And how we do that is, let's get a bit closer. Whoops. Okay, let's zoom in. Dear, I actually just noticed that now. Okay, make sure. I think I want to get rid of that. Let's decrease that a little bit. Notice that I'm still on the top layer. Everything seems. So it's out here. I'll just go zip that in. That looks fine. Yeah. Okay. Board is more or less round. Doesn't matter. You can make this thick if you want. But what we want to do now is the copper pore. So our copper pore needs to be at least 1 more away from the edge of the board, which is the edge of the board is defined as, or the board outline is defined as the middle of this line. So press Q and get to the middle of the line, and let's make sure we change this back to 0.25. Okay, much better. Middle of the line, and let's start here. So let's go down 1, 2. That is, oh, we want it to be 1 more, right? So that 1 more makes it, okay, if I went down 2 spaces now, I'm using 0.25, that makes it 0.5. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and click. Then scroll down all the way to the bottom of the board. And we'll go to here. Okay, if we know this is perfect, we can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Place. So that made. Oh crap! I didn't even select the tool. Okay. Okay. I'm going to select my. I didn't even tell you. Okay. We're going to go to place copper pore. Okay. So as I said, 1 millimeter away from the board either side. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. Scroll down. See, you could easily go apart. That's why, if you know your board is perfectly straight, you can see it's perfectly straight. Go to the bottom. We could even zoom out. You don't have to go like I'm going like an idiot. Zoom in. Go to the corner, and we do our 1, 2, 3, 4 again. Leave the mouse there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. With our cursor. Okay, on that dot. Click. Now you can see there's a line there. We're going to do the same thing for the other 4 corners, 2 corners of the board, sorry. Let's zoom out. Go to this side. Zoom in. Now you can see that's not dead center. So that is where you can actually get thrown off. Okay, so when you're doing your design, make sure that is dead center. I'm still going to work with it though, even though, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, this is bad practice, so make sure that's as straight as possible. Up, go to the top, and repeat that. Okay, move my mouse there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Click. Okay, now that has made a nice line around all of our components, as you can see. So we made sure first of all that our components were at least a certain distance away from the edge of the board. I think I may have made a mistake when I said how far away from the board it must be, because obviously now our copper takes up more space. Anyway, then we make sure the copper pore is at least a short distance away from the edge of the board. Press Q again if you want to, and then we say right click to finish the copper pore. And if you just click once, just with the left click, sorry, first deselect the tool. What is that? Okay, now deselect the tool, click once, and that should select your copper pore. But my selection tools. So let's go to options, selection mask, and CU. CU is our from the element table for copper pore, single selection. Okay. So the moment I click anywhere in the center, it'll select my copper pore. See that? I click there even. Try clicking a component. Okay, no. So yeah, anywhere, copper pore. Right click, properties. Okay, may change this to 0.3. I think line spacing. I think. Give me just a second. I think that's fine. This one is the most important part. The line width is 0.3. 0.3. Back off smoothness. We want that to be high, and we want our state to be poured, meaning to be pouring copper in there. Okay, so before you click OK, we make sure that's 0.3. Fine. And then we go to connectivity, and we go to pad thermals. This is okay, leave that for now. Go to net. We want this to be connected to our ground, because our ground is the copper, and then that way everything will pour around the board. We know that our ground was from the very beginning net 00020. I'll go back and show you that. We zoom in. Net 00020. That is our ground. We knew that. Go back to PCB. And we chose this to connect to our ground. I think this was supposed to be. Give me just a second. Okay. Our pad thermals, we make to. I think this was. We can leave that on 45 degrees. Our split widths, make that 0.2. Oops, 0.2. Ah, no, that's wrong. Control Z. I wasn't done yet. Properties, copper pore. So now it's unpoured again. I have to change the settings back. Make that to 0.3, right? That. Make that high. That poured connectivity. Leave it on 45. So go to 0.2. That also. And make the biothermals direct connect. Island removal. Hang on. Net. Make sure this is very important. Make sure that you do have this connected to your ground. Island removal. This was unconnected. Click on unconnected. There's a valid reason for that, but I can't recall it either. We're going to leave that as it is, and we say OK. Okay, this place is now our copper pore. Okay, that's very pretty. As you can see. My mistake. This is actually supposed to be right click. Let's change something up. Properties. This must be 0.03. 0.03. Poured. Say OK. Done. That looks much better. Deselect that. See, it's green. Okay. Nope, the first method is actually correct. It's not supposed to be 0.03. Let's change that back. I don't know why it's making them in lines, but it's supposed to be 0.03. I mean, 0.3. Okay. That's okay. Okay, So this is the top of our board, right? But the bottom of the board also needs to have a copper pole. So instead of doing it again, you can say copy. I still don't have the proper grasp for this, but you copy essentially, and then you say paste, right? Okay, so that's pasting it now, and whenever I click it's going to paste. But let me press 6, that's the other layer, paste there. One way is apparently to, okay, so that's paste to layer, but there's not even. One way is apparently to say move to layer, once you've selected, but I can't seem to get it right. But in any case, let's say copy, maybe, and let's go to the next layer, paste, and then paste it there. That's not working. Okay, well, let's try it like this. So copy, paste, Ctrl-V, and let's paste it over there like that. This is the only way I seem to be getting it right. Make sure it's still properly from the outside. Okay, I shifted the outside, the original one which is wrong. So, aha, I think I know why this is so thin. Let's try something. Delete that. I'm going to re-pour my copper. Let's first do this. Pour or re-pour. Okay, that re-pours the copper. Unpour. I'm going to unpour it and change this. Let's see if this helps. 3, so enter. And then say, click on my copper pour and say pour or re-pour. Nope, doesn't help. Okay, so copy, paste, which is V, and then paste it there, center-ish, and then because it's still selected, we now then go to the bottom layer, pressing 6, and we say edit, move to layer, bang, done. Now we have copper on the bottom and copper on the top. So that is my circuit. Press Q, there you go, looks a bit better. Also, now if I press 7, that shows the top and the bottom layers together. You can't see it now because the copper core seems to be green. I mean red, not green. It's supposed to be green, but in any case, that is how you do the copper core. So that pretty much sums up the most of using PCB, and your circuit is pretty much done. Like I said at the end, say Control 1, and that brings back all the other values. Move your designators and everything here if you want. Okay, so I know there was a bit of a mouthful, more than so actually. But as I think one last thing I'd like to add, I will do it on another circuit though, seeing as this one is quite a mess. And I think I'll pick that up in the next video. So thanks for bearing with me. I hope this helps, and yeah, cheers.